So oh, there we are. We're back up. Thanks for joining us back here on Morning Line. Nick Barris along with Tim Takis, our elder law attorney, taking your phone call, 737-7587. Eddie waited through the break.
Right,
Let's go to Eddie. Eddie, good morning.
This is Betty.
Oh, it's
Betty.
Betty. I'm sorry, Betty. Go ahead, Betty.
Okay.
I want to make a comment, and then I've got a question.
Sure thing.
Well, Nick, I follow you on Facebook a lot.
Well,
I'm
thanks.
from Kentucky, and I watch your things on Facebook about your bees and mashed tater and all that.
Oh, thank you.
Your bees, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for following that.
Yeah, but I want to ask a question.
Sure.
I have a power of attorney that's been in force since 2005, and I wondered if I need a medical power of attorney. Is that necessary for a medical power of attorney?
Yeah, so Betty, what you want to look at is you look at your document that you've signed. So you're a Kentucky resident, so it would be it's a Kentucky power of attorney, which, I mean, there's not like state-specific stuff, but what you want to look at, Betty, is look at your document, look at the durable power of attorney that you have, and see whether it has any health care or healthcare related paragraphs in there. It may say something like, I authorized my attorney, in fact, or whoever it is, whatever they call it, or agent, to make healthcare decisions for me, and so on. So, in some states and in some places, the lawyers tend to use one document for both healthcare and finance, as well as legal.
But let me be clear on this. I thought power of attorney, though, and that's a great question from Betty. I appreciate her asking it. I thought that basically gives the loved one you grant that to the ability to make some legal decisions on your behalf. It gains access. Does it gain access to your bank accounts? Okay, and does not, if you're incapacitated, you're in the hospital, and there's not a wife there, well, I don't know, or it's you. Can you make those decisions? I thought that's a power of attorney. It's general. It has to be broken down and be specified.
Well, there are some. Well, yes, it does. I mean, basically, what you have to have is that your document, your power of attorney, has to say that you authorize your agent to do X, Y, and Z.
So everyone can have a different power of attorney. There's not a standard template that basically covers what most people want the power of attorney to cover.
I mean, there kind of is.
What would you say if someone they came and you say, look, I want power of attorney to cover my bases if I need help?
Right.
What should I list on there? I assume medical, right?
Yeah, you're going to have you're going to certainly healthcare decision making.
I think that'd be
you're going to have things like, well, I want my healthcare, or I want my agent to make legal decisions for me, be able to enter into contracts, buy and sell real estate, do my business in my financial decision making.
But if it doesn't list that specifically, then it may not.
That's right.
It's only what's listed.
It's only what's listed there.
That's why we need someone like you to consult
and that's
that.
what you do.
She may not be sure then.
That's exactly, and that's why I was saying is the first thing, as always, is look at your document to see whether it has that authority, whether you've given your agent that decision making, that healthcare decision making.
Let me see. Do you happen to know, Betty, if it has that on there?
I don't know, but if it doesn't, why would I need somebody for my medical?
So Betty, do you have it with you?
No, I have it in my lockbox.
Okay, well, for one, don't keep it in your lockbox.
Where should she keep it?
Okay, keep it at home.
How about a copy at home?
Well, keep the original at home.
Keep the original at home.
And make copies. Give certainly your agent should have one.
What if there's a flood and it gets damaged in the flood?
That's okay.
It's okay.
A copy's okay.
Okay,
a copy's all right. Yeah, and that's why I say you keep the original, because the most important thing is that someone that needs it needs to have access to it.
Okay.
And having it in a lockbox, now a lockbox might be, a box underneath the bed, and maybe that's okay, but whoever it is that she's named needs to know needs to know where it is and how to access it.
I guess you have to prove that you have power of attorney when you're acting on someone's behalf.
Right. Yeah. You just you can't walk into the bank and say, well, I'm Nick's power of attorney, and they'll go, who are you?
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I have power of attorney from my mom and dad, and I don't know. Yeah. And I may be spacing on this. They probably sent me the document, right?
Yeah. Hopefully they did.
If not, I need to find out where it is. I'm going to have to prove that I've got that for them.
Because you have to go. Because at some point you may be calling the bank and saying, look, my mom called me and said, whatever it is, and I need to get access. you know, and the next thing you know, you're calling the bank and they're going, who are you again?
Right, so you have to prove it. So now in her case, let's just say she's not certain, or maybe she doesn't think she has it. So she needs to get that copy, look at it, and if it doesn't, take it to someone like you.
Right.
And say, I'd like to add medical.
Right, add medical, or maybe have a separate document that just provides for medical, because in Tennessee, like many other states, we have a specific statute that deals with health care decision making, and we have another statute that deals with durable power of attorneys that do legal and business and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, so sometimes we see all of that combined into one document. Others we do not. Okay. So, you know, and so it depends, you know, but I think Betty's question, though, is a good one, which is if she has not designated a healthcare agent, she needs to do that. She needs to look at that.
And power of attorney does end at death?
Yes.
Okay, at that point, then the will and things take over.
Yes, there's a limited exception, at least in Tennessee, that if you are a healthcare agent, your authority extends to making decisions for the person about organ donation.
Okay.
And also control over the disposition of the body.
Gotcha.
So if let's say that I have a healthcare power of attorney and I've named my wife as my healthcare agent, so she has control over the disposition of my body if I have not already made provisions for that, such as like purchasing a funeral contract or something else. Now, of course, this gets into, you know, and I don't want to belabor the point, but I've heard about cases where you know, there was an ex-spouse that was the healthcare agent. You know, and now the children are going, no, wait a minute, you know, you've got control over daddy's body. It's like, I'm still his healthcare agent. Well, you know, you've been divorced for 8 years. It's like,
but that's the way it was.
But that's the way it was, right? And he did not change it. You know, so it's like, well, he had 8 years, you know, to do something else, and he didn't. So.
Did that become an issue in that case?
Yeah.
I mean, why? Because why would she not just abide by whatever his wishes were, to be cremated or to be buried?
And
somewhere?
maybe those were his wishes, but maybe the children wanted to do something else. You know, see, that's part of it.
But at that point, though, if it's in her name, they had no.
That's right.
No option to challenge it.
That's right. No recourse.
Betty, I hope that helps you with that. And we could talk more about power of attorney and challenges. I wanted to ask you this, and again, I want to throw this out for our viewers because she asked a good question. But again, power of attorney, wills, we were talking about this during the break. Things you can call and ask him about. You're thinking about your will, issues on that, setting up a trust, right?
Right.
Reverse mortgage, if you want to ask about that in terms of finding ways to stay at home as opposed to going to a nursing home. And resources that are sometimes available in the community. You may have resources available to you that you don't even know are there, right?
Exactly.
Something like that.
Right. And part of that is that, you know, another thing that we think about as far as the resources, we know all of our, you know, our clients tend to want to stay at home as long as they can. And so then the question is that, well, how do we help you do that?
Yes.
You know, and that's part of the work that we do in our practice. You know, people come in and they say, well, you know, I'm living at home and, you know, I'm doing okay, but my spouse is not doing so well. And how do I take care of him at home? You know, when will I know that it's time to do something different?
Right.
You know, at what point should I bring in help? You know, help at home. You know, how are we going to pay for that? You know, what if we can't stay at home any longer?
It's overwhelming.
You know, where do we go? What are our options? You know, how much does it cost? How are we going to pay for that? Where does the money come first? Like you mentioned, like reverse mortgages. You know, can I get a reverse mortgage? Is that a good idea? You know, all of those sorts of things is what we do.
Let's go to Brian. Brian, good morning. How are you, Brian?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. What's your question? I hear you have a good one.
Yes, I do a lot of business with like senior businesses and facilities with national retrospect, and I come across a lot of people that are looking to retire and stuff. And the pension, I'm wondering, is a pension inheritable? You can't leave a pension to somebody else, can you? Unless it's a wife. Am I not correct?
That is correct. Now, what Brian's referring to is that you know, people go to they work for maybe Channel 5 or the state or somebody or a big company that has a pension plan, it's not a 401k. This is not a retirement
There's fewer
plan.
and fewer companies offering pensions these days, but they still are there.
Exactly, because I think about, for instance, my father worked for DuPont for years and years and years.
All right.
Back he started in the 50s and and had a pension, and then when he died, my mother was a survivor. There is the question is there a survivor benefit? Is usually what we ask, when our clients come in and they're a married couple, and we, like you say, we don't see as many of those as we used to, but we'll say, well, if the husband, and it's typically the husband, he dies first, is there something for the wife? And what happens when people retire and they have a pension, they're given an option in most cases. Do you want to have a survivorship feature to that, which means if you die, then it's your spouse that picks it up, or do you want to have just no survivorship? Which means that when you die first, it's gone.
Well, why would you choose no survivorship?
Well, sometimes people do that because you get more money.
Oh, okay.
Right. Now, we don't see too many of those where people don't elect the survivor benefit, but it's there.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
and is it just for a spouse?
It's for a spouse.
And if you were single and you have a pension, and let's just say, tragically, a week after you retire and you have all this pension built up, you drop dead of a heart attack.
You're gone. The pension's gone.
And that company, that just gets absorbed into the pension and is used elsewhere, is the way it works.
As far as I know. Yeah, I know of no exception to that. Maybe somebody will call in and maybe there is an exception, but none that I know of.
Wow. All right, let's take a break on that note. When we come back, phone lines open, 737-7587. If you have a question or comment about something we're talking about, hey man, best in the business right here. We'll be back with more right after this.